この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。
Hello everyone, in today's video, I will be talking about why racing engines get taken apart quite often. Firstly, the number one reason why race engines get torn down is for inspections. By this, as the name implies, is to inspect the engine for any abnormal wear and any new developments that could be made in terms of reliability or increased performance. The second one would be to freshen up the engine. Why, you may ask? Well, a race engine has to perform at the top of its performance range at all times, and we don't want an engine that will not produce maximum performance. This is why they get refreshed to ensure the engine produces maximum performance at all times. Now, let me unpack what I have said earlier. As I said, that the engines get taken apart for inspections and for any potential developments. Let's start with inspections. This is very crucial, especially when an engine failure has happened and the engine is then taken apart to see what went wrong and what was the main failure point, then what we can do to not let that happen again. Because we want to make the engine as reliable as possible, and of course we also want to not let that kind of failure mode to happen again. Another aspect you may also want to consider when inspecting the engine is when you are limited by the regulations of the racing series you are attending. Let's say displacement, just for an example, that it cannot be increased to improve performance and you are restricted to 2 liters. So how do we increase performance then? Well, performance can be gained by optimizing the tune in the ECU for what you currently have, but that will only give you improvements up to a point where no performance can be gained from changing the ECU calibration. Secondly, you could also change into a longer connecting rod specification that will both increase horsepower and torque, but that in itself, along with its other benefits, are for another video in itself. Do tell me down below in the comments if you guys want to learn more about that, as I am more than happy to tell you more about what other benefits changing to a longer connecting rod has to offer. That is just some of the many aspects you can do to an engine that is limited by regulations. Now let's dive into engine freshen ups, or also known as engine rebuilds. As I said, these are done in order to ensure optimum performance at all times during competition use. It is also safe to say that these rebuilds are also ordered precisely because some components, let's say just for an example, would be if the engine is fitted with an aluminum connecting rod that has a fatigue life expectancy of 200 hours. And of course, we want to take apart that engine before we exceed the life expectancy of the rod to prevent severe engine failure. And yes, all things being similar, pistons, valves, crankshafts, and bearings, just to name a few, also wear out over time, ultimately reducing engine power, and that is not what we want from a race engine. But the exact opposite, that is, we want as much performance as possible for an extended period of time. I hope that you guys got some value out of today's video, and if you liked the video, please do leave me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, consider doing so. This way you won't miss out on any future videos. If you have questions, please do ask them in the comments below. And if you can, consider supporting the channel on Patreon for bonus content and more.